Something else that you can do which really helps to root you and ground you and get you ready for what you're going to do is to look at the two corners of the room. When you face out from the room, you're going to see the two corners, the farthest person this way and the farthest person this way. And I want you to look from one to the other, like you're tying it all together. And put your arms out in those directions, one toward this person, this bookend if you will, one toward this person, this bookend, and look at everyone, including them, and everyone in between. Make eye contact with individual people and bring it all to you. Now you don't have to do it like this if you don't want to draw attention to it, because guys, you can go like this and say, hey, it's great to see everyone here today. I'm looking forward to a productive class. So you kind of make it part of your gestures. So women, if you're wearing something like this, you can also do that, or you can just make this gesture. You have your hands apart like this, and you can just bring them together. Looking forward to a wonderful, powerful class. Sort of ties everyone together, binds everyone together, brings them all to you. So first of all, you're rooting yourself using, just imagining that energy. You're rooting yourself in the earth and imagining energy actually coming up through you. And you can imagine it being so powerful it actually shoots out your arm. If your arm is out straight, the energy just keeps it out really straight. And then tying everyone together while making eye contact with everyone. And that really sets the stage for what you're about to do. Little things like that can go a long way. And really, when you think about it, they're really anchors. Sort of like baseball players. When I've worked with professional baseball players, before they hit the ball, they have a routine. And a lot of times they don't realize that they have an anchor, but they just feel they're maybe superstitious, or maybe there's just something they do that brings them luck. But really it's an anchor. And so is what I just taught you. But baseball players will tap their cleats with their bat, knock off the dirt from each cleat, or sometimes they'll move each foot a certain number of times. All sorts of routines. Sometimes they'll touch their hat. It can be almost anything. They do that and they wear their lucky shirt and so forth because they feel that it's going to bring them luck, and if they don't do it, they just don't feel right. What it really is just an anchor. Or sometimes they've got a series of anchors and they fire them off and it makes them feel just right, puts them in the zone. Let's turn our attention now to something that Richard Bandler pointed out to me a long time ago, and I think you're going to find this interesting. Try it out, see if you find it to be true. I found it for the most part to be very helpful. Remember, I talked about the 10% rule. 10% of the people are going to love you, 10% of the people not so much, and the rest are in the middle. That's just the way it goes. This is also the way it goes. This is an example of the zone that you will find troublemakers in. Now, when I say troublemakers, I don't mean they're out to get you. I don't mean that they want to disrupt your class to the point of making it not work or anything like that. I mean, these are the people who are on their cell phones or Blackberries or doing other things, not very interested for whatever reason. And if you imagine where you are, that would be the speaker, you're at the front of the room, and the lines that are running horizontally are just the rows of seating. And little X's are people sitting in certain areas. Now, there are actually people sitting all along those rows. Every horizontal row has people seated in it. But the lines going out are designed to show you the area where you are going to find the people who are really not that interested for whatever reason. They tend to sit in these areas, and I've circled them. Not the first row, not the very last row, because remember, the people in the first row are really into what you're saying, even if they're on the edges. People in the very last row, sometimes they just want to be able to use the restroom. Sometimes they're expecting calls. They've got legitimate reasons why they want to sit there. Sometimes they're shy. So these are not necessarily those people. And the people in the middle, down this upside down V, well, those people are usually pretty in tune also. They're sitting right there in your line of fire, if you will. But it's these people on the perimeter, just outside in the middle rows. Now if you only have 2 rows, then they're in those 2 rows. If you have a number of rows, they tend to be on that number of rows. Not the first row, not the last row, but the outside of the middle rows. That's where they tend to congregate for whatever reason. So beware of this when you're addressing the group, and do your best to bring them into it. So when you're bookending this, tying everything together, you want to make sure you make eye contact with all of those people, everyone in the room, but pay a little extra attention to them. Bring them in, because that's where people tend to sit at seminars when they're just not going to be that into it. So pay attention to this when you go to a seminar, or when you teach one, or when you teach a class. Pay attention to this zone.